Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our November 3rd, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. Before we get started, if you would join me as lead you guys in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Covert's going to lead us in the invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Lord, we come before you tonight asking for your guidance and wisdom as we make decisions for our citizens in the city of Springdale that come before us this evening. Lord, we ask you to be with the mayor and his staff, the governor and his staff, and the President of the United States and his staff this evening, Lord. Lord, never in our lifetime have we seen our country so divided, so unwilling to hear someone else's opinions or otherwise thoughts. We ask that you help us through this election tonight, Lord, and guide each and every one of us to be more open to hearing someone else's thoughts and opinions and differing ideas. Or if we cannot move forward together this way, then our country cannot move forward. Lord, no matter who's in charge after the election, be it decided tonight, in the coming days or weeks, Lord, will you never let us forget that you are totally in charge of so much more than just this election. Lord, tonight we ask your wisdom and guidance for our city, our state, and more importantly, Lord, for our country. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Again, thank you guys for joining us for our November 3rd, 2020 Planning Commission meeting, and I'll call this meeting to order. If we could do roll call.
Howard Austin.
Here.
Gary Compton.
Here.
Roy Covert.
Here.
James David. Shannon Mueller. Peyton Parker.
Here.
Kevin Parsley.
Here.
Ben Peters.
Here.
Dale Tyler.
Here. And any questions or comments for the October 6, 2020 minutes? Do I have a motion
Motion to approve.
A motion by Mr. Covert.
Second.
Dr. Compton, was that? Second by Dr. Compton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We've got several tabled items this evening, so bear with me as I go through those. On the rezoning, R20-35 RNS Hart Family, R20-36 Scout Enterprises, R20-37 Scout Enterprises, all of those are tabled. We also have R20-46 that has been tabled for applicant. That's Hilton Road Real Estate LLC and Hilton Road Properties. Under preliminary plats, the Hilton PUD, that has been tabled, 20-07. Large scale L-20-29, and then there's a variance 20-56, that's for City of Springdale. That has been tabled. And then the last one is Michael Martin, 20-57, that has also been tabled as well. So those will not be heard this evening. So I'll go to the public hearing. But just before I do that on there, Sarah, because this is your last meeting with us. So Sarah has been with us for several years now, and I personally just want to thank you as far as your service and being with us. You've really helped us out and guiding us from the legal perspective for the city on that, and we wish you well on there. With that, we'll go into the public hearing piece. This is for Springdale Planning Commission 2021 schedule of meeting dates and submission deadlines presented by Patsy Christie.
Everybody should have received a copy of next year's proposed schedule of meeting dates and submission deadlines. We're pretty sure that all the dates are correct. By the time we get finished putting one of these together, we usually miss one, so there may be one somewhere through there. We'd like to have adoption of this so that everybody knows what the deadlines are and when the submission deadlines are and when the meetings are. Now, you'll notice that the Planning Commission meetings and the council meetings are locations to be determined. As some of you may know, the planning office is moving out of this building the middle of December and will be over on Blair Street at our new location. When remodeling of this building starts, we don't know exactly how long we'll be able to use this facility for the meetings, for planning commission meetings and stuff, but we'll let you know as we move forward with that in the future. So we'll try to give everybody plenty of notice as to where we're going to have our meetings after the first of the year, so, okay?
Any questions or comments on this? To the commission, this be a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the dates as presented.
Motion by Dr. Compton,
Second.
second by Mr. Tyler.
Austin. Compton.
Yes.
Covert.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Parsley.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes,
Tyler.
Yes. Passes 7-0. First table item we had from last meeting, L20-24, Shiloh Health and Rehab Center, 1092 Stults Road, presented by Hawkware Engineers.
Hello, I'm Blake Peacock with Hawkins Weir Engineers on behalf of Shiloh Estates, the applicant for this project. I'm here to answer any questions as necessary.
Staff comments?
I don't believe we have any engineering comments left on this project. Planning comments left. The engineering comments was submit the floodplain development permit application and submit a grading permit application are the only things that we have. This is one of those first projects that is actually extended into an area that was in Bethel Heights. And I think this project got delayed a little bit until after the election and all that was coming in, so we didn't have to go through a detachment or a selection of which city. So we're moving forward with this now. So if anybody has any questions.
Is there any questions online? Okay. It's to the commission.
This is a motion subject to staff comments.
Motion to move forward, subject to staff comments.
Motion by Mr. Covert,
second,
second by Mr. Peters.
Compton.
Yes.
Covert.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Parsley.
Yes.
Peters.
yes,
Tyler.
Yes.
Austin.
Large scale passes 7-0. That'll go to council on that.
No, it doesn't go to council.
Okay, let's see, rezoning. Having to go through all these tabled ones to get to the R20-47 Core Basis LLC, 3754 Butterfield Coach Road from A1 to MF12, presented by Tim Basile.
Hi, good evening. My name's Tim. I have the property under contract, subject to the...
Can you pull that
rezoning.
mic up just a little bit more? There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I will soon be the developer owner on this property, subject to the rezoning. Our proposal is to build some two-story townhomes on the property. They will be a mix of James Hardy siding and brick exteriors. Every one of them will have an attached garage. We're requesting the rezone to the multifamily 12 units an acre designation. We'll have access coming in off of Butterfield Coach Road as well as Don Tyson, although we don't own the property, or the property fronting Don Tyson is not part of this particular project, but we do have an arrangement with the owner that he will provide an access easement. We're working together on the project. So happy to answer any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns.
Staff comments?
Will that property, the adjacent property, be included as part of the development, or are you just getting an access easement across there?
That will be, it's to be determined. He's an investor, developer as well. He's interested in seeing what we're doing and possibly having us build it as well.
I've talked to him a couple of times, so I just wondered if y'all would work something out. You ready for comments? The comprehensive land use plan indicates low-density residential. The rezoning request is in keeping with the following goals and policies of the comprehensive land use plan is recommended for approval. Protect the positive aspects of neighborhood character. Appropriate locations for single-family and multifamily residential development should be provided based on accessibility, site suitability, utility availability, neighborhood compatibility, and environmental factors. Assure adequate land allocation for residential purposes by providing lots of adequate size and allow an increase in medium to medium or high-density residential use when land values prevent economical development of low-density residential.
Is there any questions or comments from the audience? To the commission? This will be a call for the vote.
Call for the vote?
Vote by Dr. Compton.
Covert,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Parsley,
Yes.
Peters,
Recuse?
okay, Tyler,
Yes.
Austin. That's it. Compton, sorry.
Yes.
6 yes and 1 recuse.
Staff will prepare the ordinance that goes to council on the 24th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, 20-48, J&I Partners LLC, 3049 East Robinson Avenue, from A1 to C2, presented by CEI Engineering.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Oppenheim with CEI Engineering. Little piece of agricultural right along East Robinson that somehow has dodged the development bullet for so long. We have a developer interested in moving forward under the C2 zoning, so I'm here to answer any questions.
Staff comments?
The adopted comprehensive land use plan indicates regional commercial use for the area. The rezoning request is in keeping with the following goals and policies of the comprehensive land use plan is recommended for approval. Improve the city's economic base and tax structure through the promotion of healthy, stable commercial concentrations, assure adequate land allocation for commercial areas of sufficient size and in proper locations, and encourage the development of a wide range of commercial development for the residents and tourists to include neighborhood, community, and regional centers.
Any questions or comments from the audience? To the commission?
Mr. Chairman, on this particular project, and this is way ahead of when we should really be talking about it, because I'm in favor of the rezoning, but I am aware that there is some drainage issues with some of the houses on Lodi Terrace, and so I would like that to be in the record that when this develops, that needs to be paid attention to.
Thank you, Ben.
I think we've had that discussion on a couple of times with these projects, so we'll make sure it gets in the record. Yeah.
Any other comments from the commission?
Call for the vote.
Call for vote by Mr. Covert.
Parker,
Yes.
Parsley,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes?
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin, Compton,
Yes.
Covert.
Yes.
Zoning passes 7-0.
Staff will prepare the ordinance that goes to council on the 24th.
24.
24th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next section is replats of lots 29 to 32, Block 9, R.L. Hayes subdivision. Also, variance for deviation of front setback from 30 feet to 20 feet, presented by Steve Butcher.
Yeah, my name is Steve Butcher.
They've got you up there, James.
I'm here representing Oscar Alfredo and Alicio Gonzalez, who currently own the property. I do have these two properties under contract, contingent on being able to replat. We intend to build a duplex there. In regards to the setback, what we're actually asking for is we really only need 5 feet. I changed the design a little bit. If we can get allowed 5 feet, it'll help us to put a nice duplex on there.
So are you changing that from 30 to 25?
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? This one?
We need the
Staff comments.
certifications for, before we get signatures on it. You need to add the north arrow and show the easements that are on the plat itself. I think that's the only things that we have left.
Okay. Any
North
questions? or
arrow on the
comments?
vicinity map.
Sorry?
What did you say about the north arrow?
Needs a north arrow on it, it says. Need a north arrow to the vicinity map.
Okay.
I don't know if it's got one. Looks like it doesn't. You may have added it too, since that comment came through. That's, I think it's the first round of the engineering comments, so you may have already addressed that.
Right.
Going to do the replat first or the variance first?
Probably should do the replat first.
Okay, now the structure is going to face which way?
Structure will face Dotson.
You're asking for the setback on the Ewalt side, which would normally be 30 down to 25, correct?
Correct.
Okay, make sure we all know that.
So are we're taking 2 lots and making 4?
Taking 2 lots and making one.
Right.
Making 2 lots, okay, gotcha.
2 lots into one.
Will the driveway be off the Ewald side, the side you're asking for the variance on?
What was the question?
The
Sidewalk be, I mean, the driveway be on the Ewalt side or the
The
Dotson?
driveway will be on the Dodson side.
Thank you.
Being a corner lot, they would have 2 fronts. And so they will front out onto Dotson, and the side, the front on Ewalt will be reduced to 25 instead of 30.
Any other staff comments? Any questions or comments from the audience? To the commission?
I just have a question about, so the building will front onto Dodson, but most of the homes on Ewalt, front Ewalt. So I'm just curious, Patsy or anybody, about does then, if we need if they want a fence, is that going to be fronting onto Ewalt? I mean, how is that plan to be addressed?
Well, they can't have taller than 3 foot in the front setback, and because it's a corner lot, it has 2 fronts. But we're
And that
reducing
would
that
require an
front,
additional variance, right?
well, we're reducing that front setback to 25 feet. So the fence cannot be any taller than 3 foot at that 25 foot that goes around to the back, to the side.
Okay, just get that in the record
And the
too.
houses-
Okay, thanks.
The houses on Dotson face Dotson. It'll be facing the same direction as those on Dotson. It just, I mean, I guess you could do a duplex that faces one on one and one on the other side, but you're facing them both the same direction.
Yeah,
Okay.
we felt it would be to the advantage of the traffic on Ewalt to have both driveways, have a common driveway off of Dodson rather than having another driveway out onto Ewalt. So the design has the 2 garages in the middle of the duplex with a shared
Okay,
driveway.
thanks.
Any other questions or comments? This would be a motion, wouldn't it?
The call for vote on the variance.
Well, on the replat.
Then it's a motion on the replat.
Yeah.
So you're doing the variance first?
Sorry, I did those in the reverse order, so,
Well, if you
yeah,
didn't get the variance, then we got to discuss.
I understand. Yeah. So we'll do the variance first, as far as that'll be a call for the vote.
Call for the
Call for the
vote.
vote.
Call for the vote by Mr. Peters?
Parsley?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes?
Tyler?
Yes.
Austin? Compton?
Yes.
Covert?
Yes.
David? Parker?
Yes.
Variance passes 8-0.
Motion to approve, subject to staff comments?
Motion by Mr. Peters,
Second.
second by Mr. Austin.
Peters?
Yes?
Tyler?
Yes.
Austin? Compton?
Yes.
Covert?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Parsley?
Yes. Replat passes 8-0.
If you want the replat to go to council next Tuesday evening, the ordinance needs to be in our office by noon on Thursday.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next section, large-scale developments, L20-30 Boardwalk Food Truck, east side of 265 between Casey's and Dollar General. This has 2 variances with it, variance for deviation of commercial design standards, multiple buildings in a commercial center, variance for deviation of distance of residential structure from 200 feet to 150 feet, presented by ESI.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason Apple with ESI. We did request 2 variances. I believe the Commercial Design Center variance has been addressed with the new building elevations. So we are not intending to ask for that variance at this time. And I'll answer any other staff questions.
So the first variance, not needed?
Not needed. Austin, can you bring up the elevations of the building so we can see how they address the commercial design standards for that facility? It's one structure now instead of multiple structures, as was
Yeah.
previously submitted, and that's the drawing. Now, that's the canopy that goes out over the front of the trucks, and that picture at the top is the top of the canopy?
That's the top, yeah, the plan elevation, the top elevation, yes.
Okay.
So it's kind of a multi-leveled canopy structure with a metal roof with 2 different colors.
You can see in that bottom elevation that the differences in the panels, and the others just to show the color changes.
Correct.
And that's what goes out over the front of the food trucks, so that when people come up to the truck, they have a covered area. Pick up
Yeah,
their
it's
food.
for seating, yeah.
And
And
for seating
that
as
does
well?
extend out, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So that variance request goes away. The other variance request is for the deviation of the distance between the residential structures from 200 to 150. And if you'll remember, this subdivision was platted with these lots originally being a commercial lot in the front of the residential that's in that subdivision, with the street there and the screening fences already there. So they will be putting their sidewalk outside the existing screening fence to put a sidewalk along the street that wasn't built with the subdivision. And they're asking for that to be reduced from 200 to 150 feet. You still need to provide a lighting plan. We still don't
Correct.
have a lighting plan. You had indicated something about LID, and I think engineering, you guys want to let us know that everything's good with engineering, because it was designed to drain into the drainage of that subdivision anyway. So they don't have to have on-site detention. Okay, and the only comment that we had left that you sent the other day says you needed assurance that it wasn't going to exceed that .9, and you got what you needed there? Okay, it says, please provide a drainage letter showing pre- and post-development peak runoff along with runoff coefficients to show that lot has not exceeded a signed value of .9.
We can accommodate that.
Okay. And then you submit a grading permit application. Okay. Austin, am I missing anything?
I believe that's everything.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the audience? It's to the commission.
It's a call for the vote on the variance.
And that's the variance for the resident, only on the residential?
Yeah, from a distance of from 200 to 150, and then the variance on the design standards is gone.
And just to refresh my memory, I think I remember this one, it was, whether it was to the houses or the middle of the street, or am I thinking of that?
I think it's to
It was
the,
from the face of the house
Right.
to the food truck itself. So
Yeah.
that distance,
yeah, it's from the front of the structure of the house to where the food truck is.
Right.
It's 150 feet instead of 200. And they did provide an opening, a pedestrian opening in that back fence, so you could walk into that without having to go all the way around too.
The front of the house or the back?
From the front of the house to the back of the food truck. It's 150 feet.
Any other questions? This will be a call for the vote for the variance.
Call for vote.
Call for the
All right.
vote.
Call for vote by Mr. David.
I'm looking around, finding straight. Okay.
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin, Compton,
Yes.
Covert,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Parsley,
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Variance passes 8-0.
There's a motion and a second. Have comments?
Have a motion on large scale?
Motion
Motion
subject
subject to
to,
staff comments.
I have a motion by Dr. Compton. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. David.
Austin? Compton?
yes.
Covert?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Parsley?
Yes.
Peters?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Scale passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, large scale 20-23, Crane MC expansion north side of Highway 412.1 mile east of 64th Street, presented by ESI.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason Apple with ESI. Proposing an addition to the east side of the current Crane dealership on 412. And I'll answer any questions.
Staff comments?
And this is on a totally separate track from the existing Crane operation, okay?
Yes.
Being on the northern side of a principal arterial, a 10-foot use sidewalk will be required as part of this development. You need to provide a unified lighting plan for this development. Minimum setback for any building facade shall be in accordance with the requirements of the zoning district where the facade faces adjacent residential uses. An earthen berm shall be installed no less than 6 feet in height, containing at a minimum a double row of evergreen or deciduous trees planted at intervals of 15 feet on center. This would be along the north property line, which is adjacent to the residential structures in Harbor.
Correct.
Is that acceptable?
I think we're modifying that parcel line to not
Okay.
go that far north, but we do have that screen there, and if we need to provide that buffer, we can.
Okay, what do you mean by modifying that parcel line?
So I thought we had submitted a lot split as well, or a modification, a plat.
Okay, so it's going to be attached to what? It can't stand on its own because it doesn't have any frontage on a
Well,
public
but I
street.
think that piece where the current dealership is, it does an L shape right now, and we're just basically, I think you can see it.
So what we're seeing on the screen,
So if you look there, there's a bold line right through the middle, kind of where the dealership is, the
Okay.
current dealership is, that's where the current parcel line is.
okay?
So it is on its own, the building is on its own parcel, and so we're moving that line to the north side of the parking area. So we would basically just be extending that parcel line north to cover the new parking area. I know I was filled in on
Oh,
that,
okay.
so.
So what's
but we
gonna
can
happen-
we can still accommodate the berm and put
Okay.
the plantings up there, like we discussed. I mean,
Okay.
that's still acceptable.
Okay.
I was just letting you know that we are intending to move that parcel line up there to the north side of that parking area.
Okay, so you'll put the berm there.
Yes.
Okay. And then the mechanical HVAC units, it appears from the drawing that you may be able to see those from the north. It shows that the parapet wall
Correct.
is a little bit shorter, it drops down.
Yeah, on that north
They
elevation.
need to be screened.
Correct. On that north elevation, they dropped the parapet down to basically the roof level, so we could just extend that parapet up to be consistent with the remainder of the building to hide those units.
Okay, you would be hiding them from the street, but if we don't do it on the back side, you have to be hiding them from the.
It's just the north elevation.
Right, okay. Okay, the engineering comments that are left is sidewalk needed in front of both parcels. And is there a reason why you were doing both parcels when they're not doing any development on the original site? You're gonna have to come up here because we can't hear you back there with your mask on.
According to our GIS, one parcel, they are developing on both of them. One extends toward the back that is currently undeveloped. There is, according to the most recent plans that we had, is that no longer,
I thought we submitted a full plat to move that line up so that it wouldn't be that, it would all be on, developed piece would be all on one parcel
okay,
instead of on two.
then we wouldn't need on two parcels if it was only included on one.
Okay, and it's a 10-foot because it's on the north side.
That's right.
Okay, and to submit a grading permit application. Okay, that's it.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Yeah, if you'll come up to the mic.
Ben Boyd, I'm the property owner just to the north of the new development, and the only question I have is, I'm fine with this. I would just like that, like to know if there's a plan to help all the owners on that's June Drive in Harbor, just north of that. And my yard is the first yard, and it becomes underwater from that field currently anytime it rains. I have video of it if you'd like to see it. And I've talked to an excavation engineer and company, and they said that it's mostly coming from this field. So I wanted to make sure that there's a plan to prevent that, especially if there's concrete rushing the water towards me.
Justin, you want to address the drainage, and
Yeah.
Brian, you want to,
If you can flip back to the design
is there any
plan. So
concern?
basically, our parking lot drains, our new parking lot drains to that north west corner, right before the pond. And so the pond's taking everything directly to the west into that drainage system. So I think we should be helping the situation to where this doesn't drain fully north. It's going to drain northwesterly and then directly west across the existing parking area on the north side, and then take it basically into that drainage system over by the Maples.
so the pond is completely new, correct? Not a pond back there now. It will have a trickle channel through it. It ties into the drainage system in Harbor to the west.
It'll go to the west and then kind of back around the building to the south, yes. So it drains west, so it's not going to continue to drain north.
What about the area north of where the pond is, right up to those properties? Will you be doing any work up in there to
We're not
address that?
doing any work at this time.
Okay. Ryan, have you looked at that area and see, I mean, they're concerned about the properties, their backyards.
To the north.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's something that we looked at with engineering, is that they're taking the water that's from their site to the west instead of to the north.
Okay, so any water that's coming off their site will be taken care of. Is there water from other areas that's coming across that causing a flooding problem now, like from the tractor place?
We'll have to look into that more closely. We haven't seen anything like that
Okay.
for now, but that's good to know about for that drainage concern.
So is most of the water coming off of the Crane car dealership, or do you know?
Half and half.
Oh, okay. Okay. You're only addressing the part that's with the new construction. You're not addressing any of the drainage issues with the current project that's there.
Correct. I mean, we're trying to leave that, buffered area there as much as possible.
So it may not be
I
addressing
think
all, but go ahead, Peyton.
I think I would be in favor of them looking at that. So I think that if we're going to do the pond now, I think it should be able to accommodate. It should solve the draining problems as a whole, not just what's going to be created by the lot. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I tend to agree, Chairman. I don't think we want to revisit this again and again if it's something that can be done when we're doing the original design rather than reinvent the wheel every time this comes up.
And I
And I just feel that there are very few times that we get the opportunity to fix existing problems. And, we always hear that there's no greater impact than the construction that's in question. But I think if I would really, really, really prefer that this fix that issue, since they've got the space back there.
And we can look at that with the berm that's associated with the landscaping requirements. If we put the berm up there, then it's going to keep that water from going north, and just try to contain that drainage on site and keep it moving west.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you would be submitting a revised drainage report that shows you put that berm in there and help contain the water on that site that engineering would need to look at? Is that what we're talking about?
I'm proposing a berm on the north side to keep the water from going north.
All the way across both tracks?
We can look into it. I mean, if that's what it takes, but I think that those grades can kind of be modified to come back to the south there without taking the berm all the way across.
Okay, Ryan, what's your What's your reaction to that?
And we can review that to make sure it doesn't cause any adverse impacts to any property owners and to the north or anywhere else. To
Okay,
make sure
but we're
that
not
doesn't
talking
affect the
about
drainage system.
just that, but correcting a situation that may exist there now.
Right, I mean, that's,
Okay.
if that's what they're proposing, yeah, we'll review it and make sure that their site itself, that it goes to the proper drainage system.
Okay, so,
But I've also got to look at that lot drainage too. I mean, if that lot drains to the south, then.
you mean the
or
residential lot?
If the residential
If
lot
it drains to the
drains
south, yeah, okay.
differently, I mean, obviously, we can't fix those lots either, but, you know, we can review it and come up with a good solution.
Since the detention pond won't be on the same property that the new dealership is on, will there be an off-site drainage easement that connects those two? Or there's got to be some way of protecting that drainage pond or connecting it to the new dealership, right?
It will be in a drainage easement.
It's all one ownership, but if we deal with it as separate parcels, then there's got to be a drainage easement between the two.
Yeah, we're showing a drainage easement.
Yeah, okay. Because in theory, that what's being built now could be sold off separately, and that's why it has to have a drainage easement. Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the audience? Any questions or comments from the commission?
What did we decide on? I still, what was the, like, actionable step that we all agreed to here for the drainage?
So I'm gonna review that drainage area, and provide a berm or any necessary, grading that would, eliminate that drainage going north
Okay,
into
And
those
that would be
residential
submitted
lots.
to the city engineering department, and they would have to approve it before they could get an approved large-scale development plan to move
That's fine.
forward.
That's fine. We've got
Okay.
two anyway, so yeah.
Okay.
So the drainage will be reviewed across both parcels with the potential as far as berms
Yes, sir.
and that whole piece, okay.
So the motion would be to approve it subject to staff comments with that additional comment added to it.
Any other comments or questions? Have a motion?
Motion to approve, subject to staff comments with the additional drainage as discussed.
Motion by Mr. Peters,
Second?
Second.
second by Dr. Compton.
Compton,
Yes.
Covert,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Parker,
yes.
Parsley,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes?
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin.
Large scale passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're down to Board of Adjustments. We've got B 20-58, Steve Butcher, variance for deviation of front setback, Ewalt side. I'm sorry we did that one, sorry. After I got through that, I was like, all right, so next one, B 20-59, Zachary Young, 2201 Christine, variance for deviation of front setback from 30 feet to 20 feet, presented by Zachary Young.
How's it going? So I think you guys can kind of see what I may be looking for here, but essentially I have a
You
pergola.
can take your mask off so we can
Oh,
hear you a little
sorry.
better.
I have a kind of pergola front porch that I'm planning on building on the front, or had planned on building, and got partway through the construction of, not realizing that I needed a permit for it. Went in to get a permit for it, and then in kind of conversations through that, had figured out that I probably need a setback variance of some sort to get what I want to build. Based on the variance today, I can't really build anything in the front of my house because it comes up basically to the front door. And I actually printed out some kind of more specific examples of what other people kind of have on my street today. So if you go across the street from me and down, there are about 6 different houses on that street that all have something similar to what I'm building. It's a little bit more built into the house structure. All of theirs are about 32 feet from the back of the curb to the front of those things. What I'm building is 31 feet, so I'm only really 1 foot difference from what kind of already exists there today. And a lot of other houses. Obviously, this is an older neighborhood. There are plenty of places that probably just kind of built whatever they needed to whenever they needed to, and there weren't necessarily codes at that time to deal with that. So really, this is I've already sort of started construction on this. Didn't realize that I needed a permit originally. Kind of assumed, rather foolishly, I suppose, that based on what my other neighbors kind of already had built, that this would be okay. Obviously, it's not within the code today, so that's really what I'm seeking today.
Okay.
I think Ed,
What's
Ed,
up?
do you have comments from building inspection on this one? This one came from them. Building inspector's going to make a comment.
Oh.
Yeah, this was one we stopped work order on, put a stop work order on. It's almost completed except for foundation. We don't comment on front setbacks. It's aesthetic.
Any other staff comments? Okay. Any questions or comments from the audience? To the commission?
Is the 10-foot variance the exact amount needed, or is that just a guess, or
That's
can you accept?
that would be right under kind of exactly. I probably need like that 9 foot 6 inches or something like that. Like 10 foot was just kind of the easy, happy medium. It's right there though. I mean, it's right in that 10 foot.
Is there any overhang on it?
They're very little, so that is accounting for that overhang essentially. So
Okay.
that it's about 9 foot, again, 9 foot 6, 9 foot 8. I didn't get exactly what that overhang looks, but the overhang, basically to the base of the post, you're right around 9 foot, and then the overhang is about 6 to 8 inches, so that's essentially where I'm at today.
Okay.
I pushed the overhang back further on the back side of it, kind of accounting for that, so it wouldn't be any closer.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the commission? Be a call for the vote?
Call for the vote.
Call for vote by Dr. Compton?
Covert,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Parsley,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Austin, Compton.
Yes.
Variance passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got two waivers, W20-20, Bill Adams, 2000 Sanders, 204 and 206 Sanders waiver sidewalk requirements presented by Bill Adams. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not the one supposed to be here. The contractor built these houses supposed to be here. He was supposed to be here 2 months ago, and, well, anyway.
You are Bill Adams, right?
Ma'am?
You are Bill Adams, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The sidewalks there in this area are, they would start in front of these three houses and end in front of these three houses. There's no other sidewalks within probably a half a mile or better. They not only wouldn't add to the property, they would probably detract from it because they'd look kind of silly. They don't go anyplace. And I'd have to cut down some mature trees to put them in. The contractor told me 2 months ago he told me a couple of the city council members, and they agreed with him. I don't know who he talked to. I don't know that he actually talked to anybody, to be honest with you. The guy's been paid, and as soon as he got all of his money, he turned his back on the deal and walked off. That's the reason I'm standing here, and he's not. And that's about it. I mean, the sidewalks are honestly useless because of where they are. I mean, it's just, and you can see in the picture there, we'd have to cut some trees down if we put sidewalks in there. One of them's on a lot that
it's already been sold, and the people like the trees there. We cleaned up around them and everything. But the sidewalk wouldn't go anyplace. And the neighborhood's pretty well established. They're not gonna, no empty lots or anything. They're not gonna build any more houses for the sidewalk to go to any other sidewalks, or it's just, well, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not very eloquent at it.
No, we appreciate it. I think you're good on that. Staff comments?
Are there ways to build a sidewalk around the trees where you wouldn't have to take the trees out?
They'd have to go out into the street.
Okay. You know, I don't support sidewalk waivers. We're trying to build a buildable, walkable community. You can get down Sanders to get to the Razorback Greenway. If we don't start building sidewalks, we're never going to get any built, and so staff doesn't support waivers of sidewalks in this location.
Questions or comments from the audience?
I'm sorry, I don't hear very well.
Staff doesn't support waivers of sidewalks in this area.
Can you repeat that?
Staff does not support a waiver of a sidewalk in this location. We got to build sidewalks somewhere, and this is a place to start so that people have a way to walk around in the area without having to walk in the street.
I understand that. Okay, so you're turning me down? Is that?
I'm not voting. I'm just making a staff recommendation. They've got to vote on it, and it has
Okay.
to go to council before that
I
decision is
understand.
made.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm not familiar with the process and everything.
Okay.
But the sidewalk just doesn't go anyplace. I mean, and if there were empty lots or something where they were going to build more houses for the sidewalk to connect, but all those houses are established and everything, and they're.
Did you have comments? Okay.
Yes,
For the record, the approaches on these three houses aren't built to city standards, so whatever waiver is granted, we would like that right now you have to jump the curb to get to the driveway. It's not much, it's 2 inches. But we'd like to have them built to city standards as part of the waiver, that they only waive the sidewalks and not waive the approaches to the driveways. They need to be rebuilt.
The driveway.
The contractor didn't build the approach properly. He's supposed to cut the curb and bring it in there. Instead, all he did was just brought the driveway to the curb and then asked for it.
But that would be a separate, wouldn't it?
I put basically my life savings in this thing, and it was all done on a handshake, and I'm just scraping and begging and praying to break even on the thing. The guy just, well, it's not you guys' problem, but.
You have very nice houses built there.
Huh?
You have very nice houses built there. It's a great
Well,
addition to the
They are,
neighborhood.
but as soon as he got his money, he won't finish them. I've had to spend, well, I know that's not part of the sidewalk problem, but it's just, you know, I did everything on a handshake with him. There was a
Yep,
time when a
understand.
handshake was, you know, I guess I'm just too old. I trusted the guy. As soon as he got all of his money, he's gone. But I understand
Yeah.
that's not.
Let me see if there's any other comments, and then we'll be able to vote on it, okay?
Okay, I don't know what else to
All
say.
right. Is there any comments online or from the audience? To the commission?
Over the bill. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Peyton.
I would just like to again say that I second Patsy. I do think that these are really nice homes, nice addition to the neighborhood. I personally would like to see the city do some road work in this area of Mill and Sanders and this whole area. So in given the fact that he would have to take up the driveways, I would recommend that maybe he do a bill of assurance and just cover the cost of what that would be, instead of having to build those out himself right now, have to find a contractor, have to go through all that headache. Maybe it would be easier to just pay that in. But this area, there are no sidewalks, and it needs sidewalks badly. So I don't think I could support a full waiver, but I would be in favor more of a payment in lieu of or something to that effect.
To that point, what would your, Patsy, how?
Well, if
Well,
it's a payment in lieu of, we have to determine what the length of it is, and it's a cubic foot cost for sidewalks and he would make that payment to the city. The city would hold it until we did some other improvements in that area.
And the staff would, I mean, the staff has made their feelings known about the overall, how would the staff feel about payment in lieu of?
Well, I mean, it's, he posted a $6,045 bond, and that was based on the cost of doing the sidewalks. So if that bond was forfeited and the money was put into an account to build the sidewalks, then his requirement would be completed. The other option is to do a bill of assurance, but that says he's got to bill them in the next couple of years. So those are the two options.
So if he's already paid in, why is this here?
Well, he wants to get his money back. If the waiver of subdivision, of sidewalks is granted, then this money would be refunded.
Got it, okay. I wasn't reading that in that regard. So.
I didn't realize he'd already posted the bond. That's how he got his C of O, was by posting the bond already. Or did the contractor post the bond?
No, ma'am, I did. The
Okay.
contractor didn't,
Okay.
no, he didn't post anything.
Okay. Any other comments?
I would also be in favor of, Mr. Adams, you're selling these houses, right?
Yeah.
I would even be in favor of giving him a time to sell the houses and then, I don't know if that's possible, but that, I would be in favor of being flexible with with accomplishing what we want done. What I'm saying is I don't think that sidewalks have to be in tomorrow, for example, but if there's any flexibility that we have for him, I would be in favor of that. I do think it's necessary.
But
and I drove by there today, and I didn't, from what I saw, it didn't look like trees would need to come out for the sidewalk.
Well, that's what the contractor told me. I'm ignorant on this stuff. We've sold one of the houses. We've got contracts on the other two houses. One of the people said that if you came in and put sidewalks in, they didn't want it. But I know that's beside the point.
Well, I guess somebody would need to go out there and look and see where the sidewalk could be placed without having to take the trees out. But making a condition where it's based on the sale of the property is not something we have any way to control.
I understand that. I understand
That's
that's
the
not your
problem.
problem. I
Right.
understand
But
that.
yeah, now, so our options are,
Go ahead, Sarah.
Can I step there real quick?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I was just going to echo what Patsy said. I understand the desirability of that approach, but not having a date certain and basing it on a triggering event would not be advised.
Okay, thanks.
so what are our options? It sounds like we have to,
Well, what I see here is that, if you grant the waivers, then he gets refunded the money. If you don't grant the waivers, then that bond money still stays out there.
And that's a final decision that has to be made by the council. You're making a recommendation to the council. If the sidewalk is waived, that means the taxpayers of Springdale have to pick up the cost. And that's only a decision that the city council can make. So your recommendation is either we get payment in lieu of based on the bond that was already submitted, or grant the waiver and then the bond is refunded.
okay.
Do we have a recommendation?
Me?
No.
Oh, okay.
I guess we say no to the waiver. I'm trying to figure out if we have to make the recommendation with payment in lieu of, or is saying no to the waiver, voting the waiver down is almost the same thing, because then we
It's the
keep.
same thing.
yeah,
Then
we
the
keep
council
it.
has to decide whether they accept this as payment in lieu of. If he wants to leave the bond as payment in lieu of, then it doesn't have to go to council. If that's the option he wants to take. If he still wants to get the bond back, then it has to go to council, and they have to make that decision to give the bond back.
But that's a decision he has to make on whether he wants to ask for payment in lieu of?
Right.
Okay.
And he's asking for a waiver so he can have his bond money back. That's what
Okay.
he's asking for.
So is this a call for the question or a motion?
This has to be a motion because it's a recommendation.
Okay, motion to consider the waiver of sidewalks for these three properties.
Motion by Mr. Peters,
Second.
second by Mr. David.
Who's second?
David?
David. Oh. James? Okay.
David,
No.
Parker,
No.
Parsley,
No.
Peters,
No?
Tyler,
No.
Austin,
No.
Compton,
No.
Covert.
No.
The waiver does not pass 8-0.
So the planning commission will recommend to the city council that the sidewalk waiver not be granted. They have to make that decision. If you want to leave your bond as payment in lieu of, it doesn't have to go to council. If you want your bond back, then it has to go to council on the 24th.
Meaning I come back on the 24th?
Yes.
Okay. And I talk to you guys again?
No, it'll be the city council, not the planning commission.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys was the city council.
No, okay, so you,
That shows you what I know.
so we will the staff will prepare the resolution to go to council recommending that the waiver be denied. And then
I
you'll have
understand.
to ask for the return of the money you've already posted.
Okay, so I need to come back on the 24th.
Yes.
Do I need to talk to Ms. Pounders again and have that put on some kind of schedule or
No,
something?
it'll go from our office directly to the to the city council agenda on the 24th.
Okay, I
Okay?
understand.
You just need to be here.
All
I'll
right,
send you a
I'm through
letter on
then.
what you need to do.
I'm done?
Yep, you're done.
Okay,
You're
thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Next item, W20-21, Elroy Torres, 4952 Old Wire Road, waiver for sidewalk requirement, presented by Elroy or Manuel Torres.
Good evening. My name is Manuel Torres, and my dad plans on building a house on Old Wire Road, and he plans on building it so it faces Old Wire, and I believe they told him that he was required to put a sidewalk on Hatcher, so he was trying to see if he could possibly get that waived since the house is facing Old Wire, and there's really no sidewalk on Hatcher Road.
Staff comments?
Again, staff doesn't recommend waivers of sidewalks, so we're the same situation.
Any questions or comments from the audience or online? Just to the commission? Any questions or comments from the commission? If not, this will
Open the
be
vote.
a recommendation.
You have to recommend, yeah, this has to be a motion to recommend.
Motion to
Recommend
approve.
motion to move forward.
Motion by Mr. Covert.
And that's to grant the waiver?
Yes, yeah.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second by Dr. Compton.
Are we ready?
Parker,
No.
Parsley,
Yes.
Peters,
No?
Tyler,
No.
Austin? No?
Yes.
He said yes.
Yes, no, or no?
He said yes.
Okay. Sorry. Compton,
Yes.
Covert,
Yes.
David,
No.
it's tied.
This is a tie 4-4, so this does not.
So the sidewalk waiver will be sent to council without a recommendation for approval.
Okay.
Council will meet on the 24th.
On the 24th?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to come back on the 24th?
In the same room on the 24th, it will be
Okay.
city council.
I'll send you a
Yes.
letter.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Planning Director report?
Council actions in November, the city council overturned the planning commission's denial of the rezoning of the 81 acres requested by McRidge LLC from C2 to I1 and allowed the rezoning request to be downgraded to W1. They approved the final plat of Spring Meadows subdivision and the replat of lots 8 through 11 of Block 6 of Carter Edition. They approved the rezonings for MF12 to C2 and MF16 at 2603 East Emma, and C2 to MF16 at the west side of Butterfield Coach Road, south of Emma. They approved the PUD rezoning for the 83 acres south of East Robbins, and they went all the way to Don Tyson Parkway, approve the C2 to SF2 for 1708 Lowell Road, approve the C2 to C5 for 693 and 777 White Road, approve the O1 to MF16 for 1016 South Pleasant Street, and approve the O1 and A1 to P1 for 1092 West Stoltz. They also approved the conditional use for the mobile vending at 1906 Lowell Road and the home occupation on Harbor Avenue. They adopted resolutions levying the ad valorem tax with both Benton and Washington counties. They approved the amendment to the zoning map to convert the zoning districts from Bethel Heights into the Springdale zoning districts and to change the names of those streets that we talked about at the last meeting. At the work session that we had last month, there was some discussion about maybe having an extra work session this month, and we talked about November 5th as a possibility to discuss the land use plan and master street plan updates that are needed to include the consolidated territory formerly known as Bethel Heights. And so y'all need to decide if you want to have an extra work session. The work session set for November the 17th. As you may have already gotten your invitations, will be an open forum to discuss the optional form-based code overlay district. We've invited a good variety of stakeholders, including council members, builders, developers in that downtown area who's expressed interest for them to come and sit down and talk with us about this optional form-based code. And as of today, we had a pretty good turnout of people that were already agreed to attend the meeting. About 12 of those people. So those are, and that would be November the 17th at 5:30.
Will we meet upstairs for that, or will we have a different location?
Yes, we'll meet upstairs. No, we're going to meet upstairs because it's so much easier to have discussions up there than it is down here.
Okay.
So the question is, do we want to have that work session on November the 5th? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We set the stakeholder meeting for down here because we thought we'd have too many people for up there. I'm sorry. But the 5th could be upstairs if we want to meet on that day.
What are the times for the 5th?
5:30. Both of them are set for 5:30.
Oh, just like our normal work session hours?
Right. And you realize the 5th is this Thursday.
I won't be able to make it. I thought I could.
Can't be there? Okay, you're the one that wanted to do
I
that.
know.
Okay,
Will Zoom be available?
I'm sorry?
Able to Zoom on the 5th?
We've tried it a couple of times up there and it hasn't worked very well, but we can try. I mean, how many people could be here on the 5th? That's this Thursday evening.
Well,
Roy cannot. I'm out of town until the 20th.
Okay.
or is it possible we can start at 5 on the 17th,
And do that first?
this first?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, I like that better.
Okay, so we'll
That's a good
start
idea, Kevin.
the 17th at 5 and do the land use plan. I don't think it'll take a long time to discuss the land use plan, and the master street plan is pretty simple because it was already on our master street plan. We just need to incorporate that area for Bethel Heights into that.
Yeah.
So we'll just start at 5 on the 17th.
And just those that weren't there for it, the reason why I had asked for more time to think about that is that, especially along the corridor of Wagon Wheel Road, just need to think through some of those in that whole piece, and then even further north on that. That's the only reason.
So we'll just we'll start it at 5 and do that the first 30 minutes, and then we'll
Okay.
switch over. And that'll be here in the council room.
And then the only other request I would have is there any way that we can get updates as far as street projects and where they're at? I mean, with the one that we got overturned by the council, I don't know what the status is of Dixieland and some other major projects. I think it would be beneficial for us as far as we're hearing things in these commissions meetings to have more of an updated what's going on with these projects, where are they at in the process of being let.
Okay. We can do that. We can get that done.
I'm already getting questions of other areas that I don't know what that will mean in there, so. Okay.
We'll just put that on there too as part of that. And maybe we can just send that out to you ahead of time in the meeting. I have to spend a lot of time talking about it.
Any other questions or comments from everyone? appreciate
I just
everyone's
think it
patience.
might be helpful to go for like 2 full hours instead of cutting it off at 6:32.
Oh, I think we'll probably have to, yes. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
No,
Right.
right.
Bring a sack lunch with you when you come, or a
Mhm.
sack dinner when you come, and we can stay longer.
Good deal. Anything else? Thank you guys for being here this evening. Everybody be safe and enjoy the election results as they come in tonight or tomorrow or next week or whenever they are. So, all right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.